Trust isn't something you lose all at once. It bleeds out slowly, one small betrayal at a time, until you wake up one morning and realize you're completely empty. I thought I was building a life in Thailand. Turns out, I was just funding someone else's business plan. If our stories resonate with you, don't forget to like, comment, and tell us where you're watching from. This story was shared with us by one of our longtime viewers who wanted his experience heard. I never thought I'd be the type of man telling a story like this. My name is Gordon, I'm 63, and I spent 37 years working construction. Management in Richmond Hill before my divorce forced me to rethink everything. I wasn't looking for adventure when I moved to Phuket. I was looking for peace. My ex-wife Sarah had taken half of everything, and what was left felt hollow. I'd read about men my age starting over in Thailand, and honestly, the idea of warm weather and cheap living sounded like exactly what I needed. I rented a small apartment near Patong Beach, nothing fancy, just a place where I could figure out what the hell I was supposed to do with the rest of my life. The first 6 months were lonely. I'd walk to the local market every morning, buy fruit and vegetables, practice my broken Thai with the vendors. That's where I met Kamala. She worked at a small stall selling mangoes and papayas, always smiling, always patient with my terrible pronunciation. She was maybe 40, with kind eyes and a laugh that made me feel less like a lost tourist and more like a person worth knowing. "You come every day," she said to me one morning, her English careful, but warm. "You like mango too much." I laughed and told her I just liked the company. That was the beginning. We started talking more each day. She told me about her life, how she'd moved to Phuket from a small village up north, how she sent money back to her mother, how she dreamed of opening her own restaurant someday. I found myself looking forward to those conversations, to the way she'd light up when she talked about her plans. After a few weeks, I worked up the courage to ask her for coffee. "You want to spend time with old Thai lady?" she teased, but she said yes. Our first real date was at a small restaurant overlooking the beach. Kamala wore a simple blue dress that made her look younger, happier. "I never date Farang before," she admitted, using the Thai word for foreigner. "My friends say be careful, but you seem different, not like the other men who come here for, you know." I knew exactly what she meant. I'd seen those men, the ones who treated Thailand like a shopping mall for companionship. "I'm not looking for anything complicated," I told her. "I just like spending time with you." That seemed to be the right answer. Over the next few months, we fell into an easy rhythm. I'd pick her up after her shift at the market, and we'd explore different parts of the island together. She showed me temples I never would have found, took me to local restaurants where I was the only foreigner, taught me how to bargain properly at the night markets. I felt like I was finally living again, not just existing. One evening, as we watched the sunset from Kata Beach, she rested her head on my shoulder and said, "I'm happy with you, Gordon. You make me feel safe." That's when I knew I was falling in love with her. "You know what would make our life easier?" Kamala said one morning as we shared breakfast at my apartment. She'd been staying over more often, leaving clothes in my closet, keeping her toothbrush next to mine. It felt natural, comfortable. "What's that?" I asked, watching her butter her toast with the careful attention she gave everything. "A car. I take Songtheo every day to market and bus back here. Take long. Time, cost money. If we have car, I come see you more. We go places together more easy." The idea made perfect sense. I'd been thinking about buying a vehicle anyway. The motorcycle taxis were convenient but dangerous, and the local buses were cramped and unreliable. "What kind of car were you thinking?" I asked. Her face lit up. "Honda Civic, maybe. Good for Thailand, not too expensive, very reliable. I have friend who sell cars, give good price for us." 2 days later, we were at a small lot in Phuket town, looking at a silver Honda Civic with only 30,000 kilometers on it. The car was clean, ran well, and the price seemed reasonable. Kamala negotiated with the dealer in rapid Thai, occasionally turning to translate for me. "He say this very good car. Previous owner take good care. He give us special price because I know him long time." "What about registration and insurance?" I asked as we signed the papers. That's when Kamala made the suggestion that would change everything. Better if car in my name, she said, her tone casual. I know system here, know where to go for insurance, registration, all the paperwork. Also tax different for Thai people. And Farang, save money this way. She squeezed my hand. Don't worry, darling. Is same like both our car, just my name on paper. More easy. I hesitated for a moment. Something in my gut felt uncertain, but I pushed the feeling away. This was the woman I loved, the woman who'd spent months showing me her country and her culture. If she said it was better this way, who was I to argue? I didn't understand Thai bureaucracy, didn't speak the language well enough to navigate government offices. It made sense to let her handle the technical details. Okay, I said, reaching for my wallet, if you think that's best. The paperwork took about an hour. I handed over 800,000 baht in cash while Kamala filled out forms and spoke with the dealer. When we drove away, she was practically glowing with happiness. Our first big thing together, she said, running her hands over the steering wheel. Now we can go anywhere we want. I felt proud watching her drive, proud that I could give her this gift, this freedom. It felt like the right way to start building a life together. That night, she cooked dinner at my apartment, and we talked about all the places we'd visit with the car. Maybe we drive to my village next month, she suggested. I want to show you where I grow up, introduce you to my mother. The idea of meeting her family thrilled me. It felt like a natural next step, a sign that our relationship was deepening into something real and permanent. For the first few weeks, everything was perfect. Kamala would pick me up in the mornings, and we'd drive to the market together. She'd work her shift while I explored nearby shops or sat at a coffee stall reading. In the evenings, we'd use the A car to discover new restaurants, visit different beaches, sometimes just drive around the island talking about everything and nothing. I loved watching her confidence grow behind the wheel, the way she'd sing along to Thai pop songs on the radio. But gradually I started noticing things. It began with phone calls. Kamala would be driving and her phone would ring. She'd answer, in Thai, speaking quickly and quietly, often glancing at me with what looked like nervousness. When I asked who was calling, she'd give vague answers. My sister, need help with something. Or, market friend, asking about prices. The conversations always seemed urgent, intense, not like the casual family chats I'd expect. Then there were the early mornings. I'd wake up and find Kamala already gone, a note on the kitchen table saying she had errands to run, or was helping her cousin with something. She'd be gone for hours, returning in the afternoon with the car smelling like cigarette smoke and unfamiliar perfume. When I mentioned it, she'd laugh it off. I stopped for coffee, other people smoking. You know how Thai people are with cigarettes. One morning, I decided to pay attention to the odometer. The car had 42,000 kilometers when Kamala left for her errands. When she returned 6 hours later, it showed 42,087 kilometers. 87 kilometers in 6 hours for errands around Phuket. That didn't make sense. The island wasn't that big. Where did you go today? I asked casually as she unpacked groceries. Market first, then help Sirikul with moving some furniture to new apartment, then stop by pharmacy for my mother's medicine. Her answers came quickly, smoothly, too smoothly. That's a lot of driving for furniture and medicine. She stopped unpacking and looked at me with an expression I hadn't seen before. Not angry exactly, but something colder. Gordon, you want to know everything I do every minute. I thought you trust me. I do trust you, I said quickly, feeling guilty for questioning her. I just worry when you're gone so long. I'm not child, she replied, her voice softer but still carrying an edge. I can take care of myself. If you don't like me using car, maybe better I go back to taking bus everywhere. The thought of her struggling with public transportation again made me feel selfish and controlling. No, of course not. The car is for both of us. I'm sorry I asked too many questions. But the questions didn't stop bouncing around in my head. A few days later, I was organizing the trunk of the car when I found something that made my blood run cold. Hidden under the spare tire, wrapped in a plastic bag, was a removable taxi sign, the kind that magnetic mounted on car roofs. Along with it was a taxi meter still in its box and a folder of official-looking documents in Thai. My hands shook as I opened the folder. Even with my limited tie, I could make out Kamala's name on several forms, along with what looked like taxi licensing paperwork. There were also receipts from a company that sold taxi equipment, dated just 2 weeks after we bought the car. I sat in the driver's seat, staring at the documents, trying to make sense of what I was seeing. There had to be an explanation. Maybe Kamala was helping a friend who drove a taxi. Maybe she was storing these things temporarily. Maybe. But deep down, I knew what I was looking at. When Kamala came home that evening, I was waiting in the living room with the taxi sign on the coffee table. Her face went white when she saw it, then immediately crumpled into tears. "Gordon, I can explain," she said, rushing toward me. "Is not what you think." "What is it then?" I asked, my voice calmer than I felt. "My friend Niran, she drive taxi, but her car break down. She asked me to keep her equipment while she get car fixed. I was embarrassed to tell you because I know you think taxi drivers are. You know, not good people. And the paperwork with your name on it. She used my name because her license expired and she need time to renew. Is just temporary, I promise. I was going to tell you, but I didn't know how. I wanted to believe her. God, how I wanted to believe her. But something in her eyes, the way she couldn't quite meet my gaze, told me there was more to the story. "Show me your friend's broken car," I said. "What?" "If her car is broken and she needs to store this equipment, show me where her car is." Kamala's tears stopped instantly. "Why you don't trust me? Why you have to check everything like police?" "Because I found taxi equipment hidden in our car with your name on official documents. That's not something you store for a friend." We stared at each other for a long moment. Finally, she sat down across from me, her hands folded in her lap. "Okay," she said quietly, "I tell you truth, but you have to promise not to be angry." I nodded, though I was already angry and scared and confused. I take taxi license because I want to make extra money, not for me, for us. I see how much you spend on everything, and I want to help. I thought maybe I drive taxi a few hours a day, make small money to help with rent and food. Using our car is in my name already, so is legal. I was going to tell you after I see if I can really do it, if I can make good money. I didn't want to worry you if it doesn't work out. Her explanation sounded reasonable, almost sweet. A woman wanting to contribute financially to her relationship. But something still felt wrong. "How long have you been doing this?" "Only few times," she said quickly, "just to test if I like it. Maybe 2-3 trips total." But the paperwork I'd found looked more extensive than that. The taxi meter wasn't even out of its box. Yet she claimed to have been taking passengers. Nothing added up. I spent the next week in a haze of doubt and suspicion. Kamala had promised to return the taxi equipment to her friend, but I noticed she was more secretive than ever about her comings and goings. She'd take the car in the morning and be gone most of the day, returning with explanations about shopping, visiting family, or helping friends with various tasks. The mileage kept climbing. In 1 week, the car gained over 300 kilometers. For someone just running errands around Phuket, that seemed excessive. I started paying attention to other details. The car seats were adjusted differently. When she returned, suggesting multiple drivers or passengers of different heights. There were small items left behind, receipts from locations I'd never heard of, a tourist map with hotel locations circled, business cards for travel agencies. When I asked about them, Kamala would shrug. "People leave things. You know how messy Thai people are." But the thing that bothered me most was how she'd changed. The warm, laughing woman I'd fallen in love with had become defensive and distant. Our conversations felt guarded. She'd get nervous when her phone rang, often stepping outside to take calls. When I suggested we spend a quiet day together, she'd claim she had obligations, people depending on her. One morning I made a decision that felt both necessary and wrong. I was going to follow her. Kamala left at 7 a.m., telling me she needed to help her sister move some furniture. I waited 10 minutes, then took a motorcycle taxi to a spot where I could see the main road leading away from our neighborhood. Sure enough, I saw our silver Honda Civic heading toward Phuket International Airport. I hired the motorcycle taxi, driver to follow at a distance, my heart pounding with guilt and dread. What kind of man follows the woman he loves? But I had to know the truth. At the airport, I watched Kamala park in the taxi queue. She got out, pulled the magnetic taxi sign from the trunk, and attached it to the roof of the car. Within minutes, she was loading luggage for a family of tourists, all smiles and helpful efficiency. She took their money, gave them a receipt, and drove off with them in the back seat. I stood there in the tropical heat, feeling like the world had shifted underneath me. This wasn't helping a friend. This wasn't making a little extra money on the side. This was a full-scale taxi operation using the car I'd bought for us, the car that was supposed to represent our life together. The motorcycle driver looked at me with sympathy. "Your wife?" he asked in English. I nodded, not trusting my voice. Same many Farang, he said gently. Thai women very clever, very business smart. I rode back to the apartment in silence, trying to process what I'd seen. By the time Kamala returned that evening, I'd made a decision. I had to confront her with the truth, even if it destroyed our relationship. "How was helping your sister today?" I asked when she walked through the door. "Tiring," she replied, not meeting my eyes. "So much heavy furniture. My back is sore." "Funny thing," I said, standing up from the couch. "I went to the airport this morning. I saw you there, with the taxi sign on our car taking passengers." The color drained from her face. For a moment she looked like she might deny it, but something in my expression must have told her there was no point. "Okay," she said, sitting down heavily in a chair. "You want to know everything? I tell you everything." "Yes, I want to know everything." She was quiet for a long time, staring at her hands. When she finally looked up, her expression was different. Not the soft, vulnerable woman I'd fallen in love with, but someone harder, more calculating. "I have taxi business 3 months now," she said. "Not just few rides, real business. I have regular customers, tourists who book with me direct, hotels that call when guests need airport transport." 3 months. We've only had the car for 4 months. I register for taxi license same week we buy car. I planned this from beginning. The words hit me like physical blows. "You planned this before we even bought the car?" "Gordon, listen to me. I'm not bad person, but I'm not stupid person either. You have money, I have knowledge. Together we can make good business. I know airports, know tourists, know how to get customers. You buy car, I make money, is good for both of us. I bought that car for us to spend time together, to make your life easier. And I make it make money too. Is not bad thing, Gordon. Car just sit at home when we not using. I make it work, make profit. Smart business. It's not your car to make profit with. I paid for it. Car in my name, legal is my car." Her voice was getting stronger, more defiant. "I take all risk, do all work. You just pay money, like investor." "Like investor? Kamala, I thought we're building a life together. I thought the car was for us, for our relationship. Relationship and business can be same thing. I love you, but I also smart woman. I see opportunity, I take it. What about all the lies, the stories about helping your sister, running errands? I didn't want you to worry. Foreign men always think Thai women try to trick them. I wanted to prove business work first, then share profits with you later." "Share profits? You've been keeping all the money." "I keep money to grow business. Need to save for car maintenance, insurance, petrol, marketing. When business stable, then we share. Is how real business work." I felt like I was talking to a stranger. This calculating, defensive woman wasn't the person I'd fallen in love with. Or maybe she was, and I'd just never seen this side of her before. "How much money are we talking about?" I asked. "Good day, maybe 6,000 baht. Bad day, maybe 3,000. Average, maybe 4,000 baht per day." I did the math quickly. 4,000 baht a day, roughly 6 days a week, for 3 months. That was close to 300,000 baht, almost a third of what I'd paid for the car. "You've made 300,000 baht using my car without telling me?" "Is not your car, is my car. You give me car, I use car. I work very hard for money. Not easy job." "I didn't give you a car. I bought us a car that we put in your name for convenience." Same. Car in my name, I decide how to use." The conversation was spiraling into something ugly and legal, when all I'd wanted was honesty from the woman I loved. "What else haven't you told me?" I asked. Kamala hesitated, and I could see her weighing whether to reveal more or try to minimize the damage. "I have business partner," she said finally. "Business partner? My cousin Waruni. She help with bookings, take calls from customers when I busy driving. She take 20% of profit." "So you've been running a taxi business with your cousin using my money to buy the car. And you've been lying to me about it for 3 months. Is not lying, is private business. You don't tell me about all your money, your bank account. I don't tell you about my work. Is separate things. Kamala, we're in a relationship. We live together. We're supposed to share important things with each other. You want to control my life. Tell me what I can do, cannot do. I'm not your employee, Gordon. I'm independent woman." The conversation continued for 2 hours, growing more heated and painful as it went on. Kamala revealed that she'd been advertising her taxi services on Thai Facebook groups, had business cards printed, and was considering buying a second car to expand the operation. What I'd thought was helping my girlfriend turned into discovering I'd unknowingly become an investor in a business I'd never agreed to join. By the time we went to bed that night, nothing had been resolved. Kamala had made it clear that she intended to continue her taxi business, whether I approved or not, since the car was legally hers. I'd made it clear that I felt betrayed and manipulated. We lay in bed with our backs to each other, two people, who suddenly felt like strangers. The next morning I decided to get legal advice. The law office was in a modern building in Phuket town, with air conditioning that felt arctic after the humid morning outside. The lawyer, a Thai man named Kun Somwang who spoke excellent English, listened to my story with the weary expression of someone who'd heard similar tales many times before. "Unfortunately, Mr. Gordon, your situation is quite common," he said, when I'd finished explaining. "Foreign men purchase vehicles that are registered in their Thai partner's name and then discover they have very limited legal recourse if problems arise. But I paid for the car. I have the bank records, the receipts. Yes, but the legal owner is the person whose name appears on the registration documents. In Thailand, car ownership is determined by registration, not by who paid for the vehicle." "So there's nothing I can do?" "Your options are limited. You could file a civil suit, claiming that the car purchase was made with the understanding that you would have usage rights, but such cases are difficult to prove and expensive to pursue. Thai courts generally favor clear legal documentation over verbal agreements or implied understandings. What about the taxi business? Can she legally use the car commercially without my permission? If she is the registered owner and has proper taxi licensing, then yes, she can use the vehicle commercially. The fact that you purchased it doesn't give you legal standing to prevent its commercial use. Even though I had no idea she was planning to use it as a taxi. Unless you have written documentation stating that the car could only be used for personal purposes, your knowledge or consent regarding its commercial use is not legally relevant." Kun Somwang leaned forward, his expression sympathetic but firm. "Mr. Gordon, I must tell you that I see cases like this several times per month. Foreign men, often retirees or divorcees, who purchase property or vehicles in their Thai partner's name for tax reasons or convenience, only to discover later that they have no legal control over assets they paid for. What do other men in my situation do? Some choose to accept the situation and try to work out a financial arrangement with their partner. Others end the relationship and write off the loss as an expensive lesson. A few pursue legal action, but the costs often exceed any potential recovery. And if she decides to sell the car, as the legal owner, she has every right to sell the vehicle and keep the proceeds. Your financial contribution to the purchase does not create any legal claim to the asset or its sale value." I left the lawyer's office feeling sick to my stomach. Not only had I been deceived by the woman I loved, but I had no legal recourse to protect myself. I'd essentially given Kamala a free car that she was now using to run a business I'd never agreed to support. But the legal situation was about to get much worse. 2 days later, I was going through our paperwork to better understand my financial exposure when I found something that made my heart stop. Hidden in a folder of car documents were loan applications, multiple loan applications, all using the car as collateral. The documents were in Thai, but I could make out amounts, dates, and signatures. I took them to a translation service in town, and what I learned destroyed what little trust remained between Kamala and me. She had borrowed money from 3 different sources, 2 private lenders and 1 microfinance company. The total amount was nearly 500,000 baht, more than half the value of the car. Each lender had been told that Kamala owned the vehicle outright and was using it as collateral for small business loans. According to the loan terms, if she defaulted on any of the payments, the lenders could seize the car to recover their money. But more troubling was a clause in one of the contracts stating that if the car was involved in any accidents or legal problems while being used as collateral, I, as the beneficial purchaser, could be held liable for damages. When I confronted Kamala with the loan documents, she didn't even try to deny it. "I need money to expand taxi business," she said calmly. "Car is perfect collateral because it's worth more than I borrow." "You borrowed 500,000 baht without telling me. Is my business decision? I know how to manage money, how to make profit. I pay back loans easily with taxi income. And what happens if you can't pay them back? What happens if there's an accident while you're driving passengers?" "Will not happen. I'm very careful driver, very good with money management." "Kamala, if something goes wrong, I could lose everything." The legal advice I got said I might be liable for problems with the car even though it's not in my name. "You worry too much. Business is good, customers are happy, money is coming in every day, no problems. You've put us both at financial risk without asking me. You've borrowed money against an asset I paid for." "I put us at financial opportunity," she corrected. "With loan money, I can buy second car, hire driver, expand business to other islands. In 1 year, we make back all money and much profit." "We? You keep saying we, but you make all these decisions yourself." "You are my partner in life, so you are partner in business too. When I make money, you benefit. When business grow big, we both rich." "I never agreed to be your business partner. I thought I was your boyfriend." "Can be both. Modern couples do business together all the time. Is smart way to build future." But looking at her across our kitchen table, I realized we had completely different ideas of what our future looked like. She saw a business partnership disguised as a romance. I thought I was building a loving relationship that happened to involve shared assets. The final betrayal came when I decided to check with the local expat community about my situation. I'd been avoiding other foreign residents since moving to Phuket, preferring to experience Thailand through Kamala's eyes rather than through the lens of bitter expatriates. But I needed advice from people who understood the local system. At a bar in Patong that catered to long-term expats, I carefully explained my situation to a few men who'd been living in Thailand for years. The reaction wasn't what I'd expected. "Silver Honda Civic?" asked a British man named Pete. "Your girlfriend, Kamala?" I nodded, suddenly feeling exposed. "Mate, everyone knows about Kamala's taxi business. She's been talking about her investor boyfriend for months." "Investor boyfriend?" "Yeah, the rich Canadian guy who bought her a car so she could start a transport business. I'm American and I'm not rich." Well, that's how she's been describing it. Said she found a foreign guy who was lonely enough to fund her taxi operation without realizing what he was paying for. Another man, Australian by his accent, laughed bitterly. "Classic Thai business model, mate. Find a foreign guy who's isolated and love-struck. Get him to buy something expensive in your name, then use it to make money. My ex-wife did the same thing with a motorcycle shop." "You mean this is common?" "Common as rain in monsoon season," Pete said. "Half the relationships between Thai women and foreign men have some kind of business angle. Sometimes the guys know about it and don't care. Sometimes they figure it out and walk away. Sometimes they never figure it out at all. But she told me she loved me." "Maybe she does," said the Australian. "Doesn't mean she can't love you and run a business with your money at the same time. Thai women are practical. They're not going to turn down a good business opportunity just because they have feelings. So what should I do?" "Depends what you want," Pete said. "If you can live with being the silent investor in her taxi business and she's willing to share the profits, might not be a bad arrangement. If you feel betrayed and can't trust her anymore, cut your losses and move on." "What about the money I invested in the car?" "Consider it gone. You'll never see that money again. And fighting for it will cost you more than it's worth. The question is whether you want to keep putting new money into the relationship or stop the bleeding now." The conversation continued for another hour, with various men sharing similar stories of financial manipulation, business partnerships that weren't, and the complex dynamics of cross-cultural relationships where money and love became tangled together. By the time I left the bar, I felt both less alone and more hopeless than when I'd arrived. I walked along the beach that night, thinking about everything that had happened. 6 months ago, I'd been a lonely, divorced man looking for a fresh start. I'd found love, or what I thought was love, with a woman who seemed to understand me and care about building something together. Now I felt like I'd been living in a carefully constructed illusion, playing a role in someone else's business plan without knowing it. The worst part wasn't the money, though losing the car and potentially being liable for Kamala's loans was financially frightening. The worst part was realizing that I'd been so desperate for connection that I'd ignored obvious warning signs and made decisions that put my future security at risk. When I got home, Kamala was waiting up for me. "Where you go tonight?" she asked. "Had some drinks with other expats, talked about my situation." "What they tell you?" "That everyone in the community knows about your taxi business, that you've been calling me your investor boyfriend." She was quiet for a moment, then shrugged. "Is not secret. I'm proud of successful business. I'm proud of smart boyfriend who helped me start it." "Kamala, do you understand why I'm upset about this? I understand you feel embarrassed that other people know about our business, but why be embarrassed? Is good business, make good money, should be proud. I'm upset because I feel like you've been using me, like our whole relationship was designed to get me to buy you a car." "Is not using, is partnership. I give you love, companionship, show you Thailand, make you happy. You give me car, I make car work for both of us. Is fair trade." "But I didn't know it was a trade, I thought it was a relationship." "Can be both," she said again, but this time her voice was softer, less certain. "What happens now?" I asked. "You have choice," she said after a long pause. "You can accept that I am businesswoman and we work together as partners. I share profits with you. We grow business together. Maybe buy second car, make real money. Or you can be angry and jealous and we end relationship. Those are my only options. What other option is there? Car is in my name, business is legal. Customers are happy. I cannot change what already done. You could sell the car and we could start over." "Sell car and do what? I have no job, no money, no way to take care of myself. And you have no girlfriend, no one to share life with is stupid option." "What about the loans you took out?" "I pay back loans with business profit, no problem. And if something goes wrong, if there's an accident or you can't make the payments, then we deal with problem. When it happen, cannot live life always worrying about maybe problems." I looked at this woman I'd thought I loved, trying to decide if I could build a future with someone who saw our relationship as a business arrangement. Part of me admired her entrepreneurial spirit, her refusal to be dependent on a man for financial security. But another part of me felt hollow and used, like I'd been carefully manipulated from the very beginning. "I need some time to think," I told her. "How much time?" "I don't know, maybe a few days, maybe longer." "Okay, but Gordon, remember this. I'm not bad person. I'm woman trying to build good life. You can be part of that life or not, but I will. Not go back to being poor and dependent, just to make you feel better about being generous." The next morning, I moved into a small hotel near the beach. I needed space to think clearly about what I wanted to do next. Kamala didn't try to stop me from leaving, which somehow hurt more than if she'd begged me to stay. For 3 days, I walked the beaches, sat in coffee shops, and tried to untangle my feelings from the financial reality of my situation. I was angry about being deceived, but I also recognized that cultural differences might have played a role in our misunderstanding. In Kamala's world, maybe mixing love and business was natural and practical. In mine, it felt like betrayal. I was also forced to confront some uncomfortable truths about myself. Had I been so lonely and desperate for companionship that I'd ignored obvious warning signs? Had I unconsciously wanted to be needed so badly that I'd overlooked the transactional nature of what was happening? Was I angry about being used, or was I angry about being naive? On the 4th day, Kamala called me. "Gordon, I miss you. Can we talk?" "I miss you too," I admitted, "but I don't know how to move forward from this." I have idea. You come back home, I show you business spreadsheet, all money coming in, all expenses. We make real partnership. Agreement. Split profits 50-50. You help with marketing to foreign customers, I handle Thai customers and driving. We work together like real team. And what happens to the loans you took out? I pay back with business income. Is no problem. For you. But what if you can't pay them back? Then we sell car, pay back loans, start different business. But will not happen. Business is good, getting better every day. Her proposal was actually reasonable from a business perspective. The taxi operation was profitable. There was clearly demand for reliable airport transportation, and with my help she could probably expand into serving more foreign tourists. But I couldn't shake the feeling that accepting her offer would be validating everything she'd done behind my back. I need to see those loan documents again, I said. I need to understand exactly what my legal exposure is. Okay, I show you. Everything. Complete transparency now, no more secrets. And I need to know that you understand why I felt betrayed. This isn't just about money, Kamala. It's about trust. I understand. I hurt your feelings because I didn't tell you truth from beginning. But you must understand too, Thai women cannot survive just on love. We must be practical. That afternoon I met with Kamala at our apartment. She had prepared a folder with all the business documents, loan agreements and financial records from her taxi operation. Seeing everything laid out systematically was both impressive and terrifying. She'd been meticulous about tracking income and expenses. The taxi business was generating between 20 and 30,000 baht per week after fuel and maintenance costs. She'd been setting aside money for loan payments and had enough saved to cover the next 3 months of obligations. From a purely financial standpoint, the operation was sound. You see, she said, pointing to the profit columns, business is growing every month. More repeat customers, more hotel referrals is good investment. What happens if tourism drops? If there's another pandemic or economic problems? Same thing happened to any business. We adjust, maybe do different service. Thai people very flexible. And the loans, what exactly am I liable for if something goes wrong? She pulled out the translated loan documents. Only this one, she said, pointing to the smallest loan. 50,000 baht. Documents say if I cannot pay and you are... What word? Beneficial owner, then maybe you responsible, but other loans only my responsibility. 50,000 baht wasn't nothing, but it wasn't catastrophic either. I'd already lost more than that buying the car in the first place. If I agree to this partnership, what would change? We make legal agreement about profit sharing. You help with English website, maybe brochures for hotels. I handle all driving and Thai customers. We both sign all future business decisions. And our relationship? What happens to us personally? For the first time since this whole situation began, Kamala looked uncertain. I don't know, Gordon. I love you, but I also hurt you. Maybe trust need time to grow back. Maybe we try being business partners first, see if we can work together, then maybe personal relationship come back later. Her honesty was refreshing after weeks of lies and half-truths, but it also confirmed what I'd suspected. The romantic relationship I'd thought we were building had been secondary to the business opportunity from the beginning. I need one more day to decide, I told her. Okay, but Gordon, remember this. With or without you, I continue business. Car is mine, license is mine, customers are mine. Question is only whether you want to be part of it or not. That evening, I called my daughter, Sarah, back in Richmond Hill. I hadn't told her about Kamala or about moving to Thailand, partly because I was embarrassed about starting over at my age, and partly because I wanted to see if the relationship would work out before involving my family. Dad, you're calling from where? She said when I explained where I was. Thailand. I've been living here for about 8 months. And you're calling me about a woman who's been using your car as a taxi without telling you. That's the simplified version, yes. Sarah was quiet for a long moment. Dad, this sounds like a scam. Like she targeted you specifically because you're a lonely foreign man with money. I don't think it was that calculated, I said, though I wasn't entirely sure anymore. Maybe not from the beginning, but it sounds like she saw an opportunity and took advantage of it. The question is what you're going to do now. She's offered to make me a partner in the business, split the profits 50-50. With a car you bought and she owns legally? That's generous of her. I could hear the sarcasm in my daughter's voice, and it stung because it reflected my own thoughts. What would you do? I asked. I'd come home. I'd chalk this up to an expensive mistake and get out before it gets worse. But I'm not a 63-year-old man trying to rebuild his life in a foreign country. Do you think I'm being naive? I think you're being human. You wanted companionship, and you found someone who made you feel needed. There's nothing wrong with that, but now you have to decide if you can live with a relationship that's partly business and partly romantic. After we hung up, I sat on my hotel balcony looking out at the Andaman Sea. The sunset was spectacular, the kind of view that had convinced me Thailand could be home. But I felt more alone than I had when I first arrived. The next morning, I made my decision. I met Kamala at a coffee shop near the market where we'd first gotten to know each other. She was wearing the same blue dress she'd worn on our first real date, and for a moment I felt the same warmth and attraction that had started everything. I can't do it, I told her before we'd even ordered drinks. Cannot do what? I can't be your business partner. I can't separate the personal relationship from the financial arrangement. Every time we're together, I'll be wondering if you're with me because you care about me or because I'm useful to your business. She nodded slowly. I understand. I'm going to walk away from the car, from the loans, from all of it. I'll take the 50,000 baht risk and hope nothing goes wrong, but I can't keep living in this uncertainty. What about us? What about our relationship? I don't think we can go back to what we had before. Too much has happened. Too much trust has been broken. So you give up everything, just walk away? I'm cutting my losses before they get worse. I learned something about myself through this whole situation. I learned that I was so desperate for connection that I ignored obvious warning signs. I can't make good decisions about my future while I'm in that emotional state. Kamala was quiet for a long time, stirring her coffee absently. I'm sorry I hurt you, Gordon. I never want to hurt you. But I cannot be sorry for being smart businesswoman, is how I survive. I know, and I'm not asking you to be sorry for that. I'm just saying that what you need and what I need are different things. What will you do now? I don't know yet. Maybe stay in Thailand but move to a different area. Maybe go back to Canada. I need time to figure out who I am when I'm not trying to be someone's hero. You are a good man, Gordon. You deserve women who love you just for you, not for what you can provide. And you deserve to be successful with your business. You're smart and hardworking. You'll do well. We sat in silence for a few more minutes, both of us knowing this was goodbye. Can I ask you one thing? I said finally. Yes. Did you ever really love me? Or was it always about the business opportunity? She looked directly at me for the first time since we'd sat down. Both, she said quietly. I love you, but I also saw a chance to build better life. In Thailand, women must think this way. Love is not enough to pay rent or send money to family. But love was real too, Gordon. Both things can be true same time, I believed her. That was perhaps the most painful part of the whole situation. Understanding that our relationship had been both genuine and calculated, both loving and transactional. 3 months later, I'm writing this from a small apartment in Chiang Mai, 800 kilometers north of Phuket. I chose this city because it has a large expat community, but a completely different feel from the beach towns in the south. So it's quieter here, more focused on culture and temples than on tourism and nightlife. I've learned to live more carefully. I rent my apartment month to month. I keep my finances separate and simple, and I've made friends with other expats who've been through similar experiences. Not all relationships between foreign men and Thai women are business arrangements disguised as romance, but enough of them are that you have to be cautious. I still think about Kamala sometimes. I wonder if her taxi business is thriving, if she ever paid back those loans, if she found another foreign man to help her expand her operation. Part of me hopes she's successful. She was right about being a smart businesswoman, even if her methods were ethically questionable. I learned that loneliness can make you vulnerable to manipulation, but it can also open you up to experiences and connections you never would have found otherwise. I'm more cautious now, but I'm also more self-aware. I understand my own needs and motivations better than I did before. The 50,000 baht loan liability never materialized. As far as I know, Kamala managed her financial obligations without any problems. I lost the car and about 800,000 baht total, but I gained some hard-won wisdom about cross-cultural relationships and about my own psychological vulnerabilities. I'm not bitter anymore, just wiser. Thailand is still a beautiful country with warm, generous people, but it's also a place where economic desperation and cultural differences can create complicated situations for unwary foreigners. The key is finding the balance between openness to new experiences and protection of your own interests. My advice to other men in similar situations is simple. Keep your heart open, but your finances separate. If someone you're dating suggests putting major assets in their name for any reason, get independent legal advice first. If something feels too good to be true, it probably is. And if you find yourself ignoring obvious warning signs because you don't want to lose someone's companionship, step back and examine your own motivations honestly. Love shouldn't require you to make financially dangerous decisions. Real partnership involves transparency and mutual respect for each other's security and independence. I thought I was being generous and trusting by buying Kamala a car. I was actually being naive and desperate, but I don't regret coming to Thailand or trying to build a new life here. I just wish I'd been smarter about how I went about it. Sometimes the most expensive lessons are also the most valuable ones. I'm a different man now than I was when I first walked into that market in Phuket, and despite everything that happened, I think I'm a better man too.